since these arrests began in Dublin. There have been protests in Stockholm, in Vienna and Belfast in Scotland, and other areas of the world will take place over the next few days. We want to make it clear to the Irish embassies and consulates that the political policing, the attempt to criminalise a working class community in revolt against an unjust tax will not pass without mass protests taking place and opposition shown everywhere. As Niall said, Ireland is not the only place where there's mass struggles taking place against austerity at the present time. There is the Herculean struggle that has taken place in Greece over the last number of years. We saw the election of the Syriza government, which has shocked the ruling class right across Europe. This was on the back of over 35 general strikes and mass struggles by Greek workers. Unfortunately, those struggles did not lead to the ending of the attacks, and workers therefore have moved to the political plane. They have put Syriza in power, and they have made it clear to Syriza they expect the government to follow its election pledges. That means they should not carry out any more cuts or austerity. It means implementing the Thessalonica programme, which is a programme of ending cuts, ending privatisations, reinstalling workers into the civil service workplaces, and other measures for pensioners and sacked workers, which are real steps forward for workers. As you will know from the press and media this week, it could be crunch time for Greece and for the EU. The demands of Merkel and the Troika, which are the demands of the bosses in Europe, are that the Syriza government must step back. They must only take out a new loan on the basis of the current austerity which is demanded by the Troika. So far, it's unclear what's going to happen in these talks, but it's clear what workers in Greece think. 100,000 workers and young people went to the streets of central Athens last week saying to their government, as they see it, you must not take a step back. Tens of thousands took part in other demonstrations in cities and towns like Salonika and Volos. This shows the mass movement that could be unleashed if Syriza was to say to the working class, we're not just going to stand against the cuts, we're going to bring in bold socialist policies. We believe the policies of cancelling the debt, non-payment of the debt, capital controls, state foreign monopoly of foreign trade, of nationalisation of the banks and the big industries, these will have a powerful effect, powerful support right across Greece and right across Europe. They could transform the situation for working people everywhere. We've already seen what the Syriza government has meant to people. It's given a boost. It's given confidence to the Greek working class. It's done that not just to Greeks, but to workers right across Europe, including in Britain and including in Ireland. And that is why the Irish government, I believe, is one of the reasons they've unleashed this wave of terror against protesters. They are terrified of having the same fate as the New Democracy Syriza government. What happened in Greece 2 months ago was that that government had a meltdown in the polls. Like Ireland, it was a government made up of a right-wing party, New Democracy, or Fine Gael in Ireland, and a smaller Social Democracy Party, PASOK or Labour in Ireland. Both governments brought in terrible cuts and austerity. Both governments faced a revolt of working people in the polls. And I think in 2016, or if not sooner, there will be a mass revolt of workers through the ballot paper over the next number of months. And we can see a real sea change taking place in Irish politics. That is what they're terrified about. That's why they're trying to break the back of the non-payment movement. They know that new bills are due in April. So far, only 4 out of 10 people say they're going to pay their bills. The tide is going against this government, and they know that their time is running out. So therefore we have to give full solidarity and support to those young people, in particular those miners who have stood up and shown this government that there's real opposition in working class communities. We have to give them full support with this sort of protest here in London and internationally. And I think what we're seeing in Dublin is an absolute disgrace. It's a return to the sort of heavy-handed police and politics that we saw in Southern Ireland during the height of the Troubles when young people were hauled out their beds at that time as well. We should remember that some of those in the Labour Party front-bench ministers in their previous political lives would loudly denounce dawn raids by state forces on the island of Ireland, pulling young people and others out of their beds and bringing them into jails on trumped-up charges. But that was when it took place in the north. It's now taking place in the south, and the same politicians who correctly protested against that 30 or 40 years ago are now presiding over a police force taking the same action. What a disgrace and a shame. And we have to make sure that it's absolutely clear here and internationally. We will not stand for this. We'll protest alongside our brothers and sisters in Ireland. And I agree with the previous speakers. The water charges is dying. It's not being implemented. They will not bring the money in. The bills will not be paid. This is like the poll tax. This is the death knell of this rotten reactionary government in Southern Ireland. And we have to help try and speed along that process and see the sort of political earthquake take place next year, when we just won't have one Paul Murphy or Ruth Coppinger. We'll hopefully have dozens of them in the Dáil contesting the right-wing politics of the main parties and beginning to make a real change, not just in Ireland, but of course the effects of that will be positive everywhere, including here in Britain.